we had an update on Amarius Mims and Kendall Milton, two guys, as I mentioned, that will be huge, not just against Florida, but down the stretch. Let's start out with Mims. Touched on him a little bit, but it's relevant now. He had that, I keep wanting to call it high wire surgery, but it's the tightrope surgery that Brock Bowers just had himself, and he's about to be back in 4 to 5 weeks himself.
Call it what you want, Trebek. What matters is, does it work? You can call it whatever you want. What matters is, does it work? And man, I don't know about this thing. I mean, obviously, Mims, being back as a giant human back that fast is pretty important. Palmer, you said you had some thoughts on this. I'm interested to see what they are as far as the healing process from this injury.
For Brock Bowers,
Amarius Mims, comparisons, contrasts.
I mean, I texted you them yesterday about Brock. Is that
you didn't say anything? You're lying.
I think that Brock Bowers has not played his last game at Sanford Stadium. I think that he is going to be available for Georgia against Ole Miss, and and to dress out at least and be available if necessary. So yeah, I mean, Jake, you said it wouldn't surprise you if he was dressing out for Missouri to, try to throw a wrinkle in that game plan for the Tigers about the possibility of, Bowers potentially being out there. So, I think that, that's my thought about that, about Bowers and the tightrope. And, yes, famous Jay, I absolutely have watched a tightrope YouTube video over the last couple of days. It kind of fascinated me. And
I'm glad it was like a simulated thing, though.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have been able to stomach, an actual tightrope surgery. So, but yeah. So I do think that we're seeing players continue to come back from that. And I think that Brock Bowers is going to be back.
You think he's going to be back, Palmer? You asked Kirby about it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he got after you too.
Well, he got after me a little.
Kirby was spicy yesterday.
Well,
at least he didn't question my ability to field a punt.
Well, the thing about it is and I'm not making a prediction here, but we'll reel off some names for you: Nick Chubb, Todd Gurley, George Pickens, Adrian Peterson. All of these guys made, Rod Woodson tore his ACL, I believe, in the preseason one year, and then came back and played in the Super Bowl. These freak show guys, these studs, they have a way of healing. And I don't know if Brock Bowers is going to do that or not. But I will say this, that cat, he's going to be wearing a Georgia uniform with shoulder pads and pants and a helmet against Missouri. 1,000%. If for nothing else, then it's a home game, but probably so Kirby can play some gamesmanship too. Probably go through a few little warm-up things, a few little paces there, but ultimately not all of it. I think there's a chance he's back from Missouri. I think Tennessee's realistic. I really do think Tennessee is realistic. And, hopefully that moron piece of trash that has been all over the internet today talking about how Tennessee's going to go for that ankle. Hopefully they can maybe get him on the sideline and he can get chased around so I can go after his ankle for a little while.
Well, I wasn't going to bring him up, but since you did, I can't help but notice that Georgia-Tennessee pregame smack talk took a massive downturn from last season. Last season, you actually had some substance with Eric Ainge. This guy's just a lunatic. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you'll see it soon enough. I'm not going to put it on our show, but yeah, I'm with you. The tightrope thing, and with Brock and everything that Ron Corson has done, the track record that he has at Georgia, getting guys back and not just putting them back in there before they're ready. Georgia's good about that too. They don't get guys back out on the field until they are really ready to go because they don't want to risk anything. It's not worth it. Kendall Milton, really quick, Jake. I know you got to hop off. Kendall Milton, a guy that everyone's beating up on. but the MCL prognosis seems promising, at least from Kirby at this point. Maybe it's mind games. Maybe the MCL sprain is just going to be something that kind of lingers with Kendall this year.
Hey, listen, if you're going to try to call that kid soft, just hang out there and eat your wavy lays and your French onion dip or whatever you make, and just shut up, because there's a difference between like being injury prone and being soft. And this cat has played through injuries. This cat goes to treatment regularly. He's going to be fine. As far as Florida game goes, as long as there's not another setback. I mean, and listen, I get it. I get I understand. I see Kendall Milton on the sideline with a big knee brace on or something wrapped, and I'm like, dang, again, I get that. And you know who else does that? Kendall. You know who else does that? Chris Milton, his dad. Everybody understands there've been a lot of injuries. That's obvious. But stop with the soft stuff, guys. This cat I watched him just mow down a Vandy guy the other day in the open field, just ran over a guy because he's not soft. He just gets dinged up. Honestly, I wonder sometimes if, being a 6'1", 6'2" back, because it might maybe expose your legs to some stuff sometimes. Yeah. And, maybe that's kind of some stuff too. But, man, I'm telling you, I think you've seen the last two games, the last game and a half, really. Kendall can be a weapon for Georgia when he's healthy. And you go down to, you look at the last half of last season, I want to say in the last 7 games, he had 4 games where he averaged over 8 yards a carry. He was really good in the SEC championship game, over 100 yards. And I think that there's an opportunity here for him and Dejan Edwards to kind of, carve out their own little 1-2 punch niche in Georgia history. And I think that's an opportunity for them to get there, especially with Georgia being able to kind of move, into some stuff. And I mentioned it today on our board, and I really do think it's true. I think to this point in the season, I'm not saying Georgia should change anything, but I think Georgia has sufficiently through 7 games thrown the football to where it has thrown to set up the run through what it has done through previous games, and not necessarily it has to do that every Saturday coming out. I actually thought Georgia may have gotten to the run game a little late against Vandy, and they started kind of gashing them with it. So I think that's something that you might see is Georgia having a little more success running the ball early in games as teams are kind of geared up for Georgia to air it out, because it's the first pass-heavy, overall throws it more than they run it team that we've seen from Georgia since 1994.
Wow. What a stat.